Good evening, everybody. Hope you have had a lovely weekend and a good start to your week. And here we are now, middle of March, and I'm so pleased to say it's getting so much lighter. It's getting a bit warmer, a little bit chilly at times, but when that sun shines, it feels fantastic. And blossom on the trees. So it's great, and it's just a lovely time of the year, I think, when we start to look ahead to the spring and summer. For those that are aware, I'm running a group program, Spring Rejuvenation, Reset Your Gut Health, starting next Monday the 15th. And I've been putting the program together, lots of lovely recipes, working hard to give information about the foods to eat, the foods to avoid. And started to prepare the last few days a fermented drink called Rejuvelec recipe. And it made me think about, the role of fermented foods, the role of fermented foods and drink. It's such a huge marketplace. How much do we really know? Sorry, what's in my eye? How much do we really know about these foods and drinks? And are they worth the hype? That's what I've called this post tonight. Fermented foods and drinks. Are they worth the hype? What do we really know about it? When I started to do a little bit of digging, I got some stats to say that the global market for fermented food and drinks by next year, or by the end of 2022, is going to be worth £30 billion. I mean, it's an enormous market. Enormous market. So more and more people are making these fermented foods and drinks, which is great, I believe, as I go on to talk about. But is it worth that sort of money? Should we all be investing now in buying these? So what is it all about? Exactly what is fermented foods and drinks, and what is fermentation? Well, if we go back to days gone by, I'm so sorry, I've got something in my eye. When we go back to days gone by, fermentation was how we preserved our foods. We didn't have fridges in days gone by, so the fermentation process kept our food fresher and for longer, so it was really important. But that fermentation process helped deliver some health benefits to us that we weren't aware of at that time. And what happens is microorganisms like yeast and bacteria in this fermentation that start to break down sugars start to confer health benefits to the host. But how much of these health benefits do we really know about? How much do we really understand? So fermented foods are like probiotics. So we think of probiotic drinks, yogurt drinks that you can buy, but they're not the things that I would recommend. And probiotic foods, or probiotics that you can buy, and it's a term that we're not allowed to use anymore. It was banned by the EU because they said there were not enough substantiated health claims, even though lots of health claims have been made. We know so much about probiotics, but not enough health claims were available. So the actual term probiotics are not allowed to be used on probiotic type foods and drinks. That word's not allowed. But what exactly do we mean by probiotics? It's when food or drink contains live microorganisms that are known to confer a health benefit to their host. So when we consume probiotics or probiotic drinks or food, they will confer a health benefit to their host. And what do we know? So about fermented foods or probiotic foods, what do we actually know? Well, we know a huge amount now. And in terms of probiotics as supplements that have been well researched, we know just how much that they can start to alter the types of beneficial bacteria that are in the gut, and in turn the roles that then provides to the host. So we know that there are, it helps the immunity, it can help with autoimmune conditions. We know it may help with lowering obesity or the risk of obesity, type 2 diabetes. There are many roles. When we start to put in types of probiotics, it can help to support a healthy gut mucosal lining, which then in turn helps the beneficial bacteria to thrive and grow in the gut lining. So there's lots of benefits that we know about when we consume probiotics with certain supplements. There's certain strains that we take when we take probiotics. But what do we actually know about fermented foods? So fermented foods are fantastic, but they're not actually very well researched. We know that they're going to have strains of beneficial bacteria, different types of beneficial bacteria, but we don't really know just how much bacteria is going to be in that fermented product that we have produced. We don't really know unless we go and take that product and we give it to a laboratory and we start testing it. So we cannot get precise information of the probiotic strains that are in that particular fermented product. You may buy some fermented products and it may have some research around it. When we start fermenting products ourselves, it may be a little bit ambiguous, shall we say, as to what strains are there and how much and the potency of the probiotic strains that are there. And another question I'd ask is, do they survive the highly acidic stomach acid and survive the transit time through the gastrointestinal tract in order to survive and thrive and pass on their benefits to the microbes that are in our large intestine, in the colon? Do they survive? There's not enough research really to show that. But that doesn't mean that I think we shouldn't consume them. We do know that in the days gone by, when fermented foods were part and parcel of our diet, that we were so much healthier than we are today. And people who start to consume fermented foods say that they feel much better. They say that sometimes their bloating is reduced. They feel the stool consistency is better. There's less bloating, maybe less discomfort. They feel healthier. They feel better in themselves. So there must be something that's going on. Is it completely down to the fermented foods and drinks that are being consumed? Or is it that someone who starts to take fermented foods is actually improving other aspects of their life and their health? Are they reducing sugary food consumption? Are they reducing processed foods, for example? Is it pure and eating more vegetables? Is it purely down to the fact that nothing else in their diet has changed, but they've suddenly introduced some fermented foods and they feel much better? And I'm sure it's more than one aspect to this, but it's very, very hard to pin down. So we know that we were healthier in times gone by when we consumed fermented products, and we know fermented products were a really important part of our life. And therefore, I believe that to introduce fermented foods is going to give some benefit to you, and it's going to be a case of trialing it and seeing how you feel. But does that mean that you should spend huge sums of money? Because I think when you start to buy these, when you look at them in the supermarket, you could be spending quite a lot of money to buy them. So what is out there? Well, one of the ones I've tried before is sauerkraut. You can buy tubs of sauerkraut in the fridge section of the supermarkets now. This is mainly sort of fermented cabbage. Maybe it's got some carrot in there. It's a very strong, potent taste. You could mix some of that in with some soup, in with a casserole, maybe have a dollop of it on the side of a salad. It's a very strong flavour. It's not to say you can't eat it. And the idea is you're going to have a spoonful of that every day. It's about the consistency. It's little and often with these things. It's about continually having a little bit every single day so that your body gets used to eating it. The bacteria in the colon get used to this passing through, and may help to fuel them and help them grow in numbers as well. So sauerkraut is a well-known one, and something similar to that is the Korean version, which is known as kimchi. So you could spend a lot of money buying the Korean kimchi. Kombucha, that's a drink which is a fermented tea. I would absolutely hate that. I hate the taste of tea. I don't like black tea. I don't like green tea. I wouldn't like it. But kombucha has become very, very popular. Then we come on to the sort of what I call the more Eastern Japanese fermented soya type products. We've got miso, tempeh and natto. And when I talk to people about eating soya-based products, I do explain that the healthiest soya products out there are the fermented ones that they eat in Japan. And not just because of the health benefits that they potentially pass on to us, but the fermentation process does other things to the soya that are considered to make it more easily digested. It helps to reduce phytic acid. Soy is considered to be potentially goitrogenic, may interfere with the thyroid gland. That may need more research. So the fermentation process does something to the soya to make it more digestible and considered to be better for your health. And that's what they eat in the Far East, not the non-fermented soya products and drinks that we have in the Western world. So natto, miso, tempeh, these fermented products, again, are going to confer some health benefits to our gut. So they are good things to be eating. Fermented yogurt, yogurt that's got live cultured bacteria. I'm a big fan of a coconut yogurt called Koyo, that's got cultured strains in that as well. If you have Greek yogurt, other yogurts, you'll probably find that they've got cultures in there as well. So they're good things to have, but what I wouldn't recommend you have is those yogurt drinks that tend to be really sugary, because the sugar is just going to negate the benefit of any strains of bacteria that are in those yogurt drinks. Now, I have just made today, and kefir as well. Kefir is another milk-based fermented drink product, not a sugary one though. So I've just made today a different type of product that was actually really easy to make and super simple and very, very cheap. It's called Rejuvelec, and it's made from soaking, sprouting a sort of pseudo grain, quinoa, and leaving it a couple of days and straining it and rinsing it and then keeping it in water until you start to get bubbles appearing, and then you strain off all the quinoa, and I've stored that in a Kilner jar in my fridge, and it's got a really clean, crisp taste to it. It's from Lithuania originally, and I've made this as part of my 14-day cleanse program that I'm running in the next 2 weeks. So I thought I'd give that a try. I've tasted it today. I've got my husband trying it, who actually said, yep, that's quite palatable. I can drink that. Yeah, I'm happy to drink that. I think every little bit, you know, is like small stepping stones, little small steps that we can make that can all help benefit our overall health. So whilst I'm saying that we may not fully understand the true health benefits that can be gained from these fermented drinks and foods, because let's face it, who is it going to invest huge sums of money to put these through expensive trials to find out? I think it's, let's take what we know from our ancestors. Let's understand what we did when we were living much healthier, cleaner lives, and let's implement some of those traditional things that we did. And so making some simple a fermented drink like this is really simple, very, very cheap. It keeps in the fridge for a few days. And whilst I can't promise I'm going to have it every single day, but as it was so easy to make, it is something that I do plan to continue going forward, keep it in the fridge, have a small glass every day and just keep drinking it. That doesn't mean to say I'm not going to take care of all the other aspects of gut health that I think are so important, and eating the vegetables and trying to eat as cleaner, wholesome diet as we possibly can. But they're just small extra steps that we can take, and it's a very cheap way to do this without having to spend huge sums of money. A bag of quinoa, it's just a small cup, half a cup of grains is all you need to make this drink that's going to last for, I don't know, 4 or 5 days, maybe slightly longer. That's nothing really, and so much cheaper than buying it off the supermarket shelf, although I do appreciate from a time-saving point of view, sometimes that's just convenient to do. So I've putting that recipe into my program to share with those that are taking part in my program. I'd love you to take part in this. 50% is going to the charity, and there's 14 days of recipes, meal planners and recipes all planned out for you. I've just provided into the group the guidelines and gut nurturing foods and the foods and drinks that you would want to avoid, and a symptom checklist that you can do at the start. And the meal planners are going to be loaded in the next couple of days, starting probably from tomorrow. Fully guided program over 14 days. And I know in my previous groups, it's been highly participative, really supportive. I'm there to support you Monday to Friday every day. And I check in quite a lot with extra and additional advice. Oh, and there's 3 fantastic yoga flows that are being provided by Tori Faye Fitness, which support digestive health, and digestive yoga flows that help the gut function as well. So come and take part in that program, because it is going to charity, 50%. It's going to be great fun. It starts on Monday. Have a lovely week, everybody. I'll be back on Friday at 12:30 with my nutrition in the news, my musings for the week. I'll be checking in there on Friday. So I hope to see you then, and enjoy the rest of the week. Take care, everyone. Bye.